I've been meal planning now for over 5 years, and this is what I can promise you. Meal planning and prepping will save you time and money. Hello everyone, my name is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today, I come to you a little bit more dressed up. We just finished off our agency training this Saturday morning, and I was so excited to start filming this video to chat with you guys about meal planning. If I had to think really hard about it, it's probably safe to say that I've been meal planning for well over 5 years. It might even be 6, 7, somewhere in there. And when it comes to making one very large aspect of my life, cooking and eating, a whole lot simpler, it has truly been a game changer. The biggest things when it comes to meal planning, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, but it has allowed me to not only eat healthier, but save so much money and so much time. I originally started meal planning in my past career simply because I was always on the road in my vehicle, and oftentimes I would either simply not eat or find myself eating out. And eating out was never a healthier option, nor was it friendly to the wallet. So meal planning really came about as a necessity for me because I realized that I was either wasting money, wasting time, and really doing a disservice to my health by not eating, or at least not eating good food. I have really had an opportunity to fine-tune the process over many years. So I'm really excited to be able to share what I do, how I do it, how I make it easy on myself, some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over many years of meal planning, and be able to share them with you so that you can get started on a meal planning journey that works for you and your family. So let's really dig into the whys of meal planning, not just for myself, but why I recommend so many people take up this practice if they're looking to make meal times a little easier for them. First is exactly that. Being a busy business owner with very crazy days, it would be very easy for me to just simply skip lunch altogether. Taking an hour to cook lunch or cook dinner and then do all the dishes every single night is just not a feasible option for me. My schedule can be unpredictable, so food time needed to be super duper easy. But another really big reason that not only do I practice meal planning myself, but I even recommend it to a lot of my clients while I'm sitting down with them and doing a budget, is that we save so much money by meal planning. I think the biggest reason for it, and I'll chat a little bit more about that process, but by meal planning, we're not buying things with an anticipation to use it. Everything that we are buying has an intended purpose for the week. So our dollar is being used to nourish our bodies. On that same topic of saving money, you're also saving value in terms of the stuff that you're buying. Our house is very, we'll call it strict in terms of what we have in our pantry. By the end of the week, our fridge is nearly empty because we've got meal planning down to such a science that nothing goes to waste. We are very rarely going through our pantry and throwing out expired things. We don't have anything rotting in the back of our fridge. And we're not spending money on things that get lost in the pantry, never to be seen again. So meal planning is not only saving time, money, but you're kind of saving the environment, or at least your trash bin, by not throwing out so much away. So maybe you're saving your sanity as well. So I'm really excited to chat with you guys about what my process for meal planning looks like. I'm going to take you guys along with me as I choose the recipes, where I find them, how I choose them. I'm going to talk to you about grocery shopping, how I make that process easier, how I save money grocery shopping, because for me, I think there's one tip that is really a deal breaker. And then how to actually prepare the meals, because there are a few different ways that you can meal prep. It has to be fluid, it has to work for you and your family, and how to create a system in place so that meal prepping can be something that is not so overwhelming and genuinely beneficial to your week. So let's get into step number 1. All right, so here we are in the kitchen where I believe meal planning and meal prepping really starts. So before you head off to the grocery store, the first thing that you need to do is you need to determine what is being meal prepped. For us, we only meal prep lunch and dinners. In terms of breakfast, we just always make sure that we have whatever we would need to make oatmeal. We make sure to always carry eggs and an assortment of omelet ingredients, whether it be spinach, tomatoes, peppers. Typically, these are ingredients that fall within our meal planning, meal prepping anyway. So if I need peppers, I'll just buy an extra to put into omelets. Same applies to leafy greens or tomatoes or onions and the likes. So we really only prep lunch, dinner, and then we'll occasionally add in a snack in there. So if we start to notice that the pantry is running out of snack foods, we might make protein balls or chia pudding cups, and then we just always make sure to have fruit in the house for snack time. Another really important thing to do is, yes, you need to determine which meals you're going to cook for, therefore how many servings your recipes need to cater. So if you do choose a recipe, which we'll talk a little bit more about, that serves 4, but you want to eat that, call it 3 lunches of the week, you may need to do an extra half of the recipe in order to have it last you the entire week. The other thing you want to take into account, which makes every single week a little bit different, is are there days this week where you are not eating from home? It is not uncommon for us to go and visit family for a dinner or have arrangements with friends to meet up and go for food, which means those are meals that I don't need to prepare in the beginning of the week. What you also want to take into account is if you do a special family meal of maybe Monday pizza or Tuesday tacos, that you're incorporating this where needed so that you can make sure that those special dinners, maybe where you're serving or catering to other people, that you're including those in your meal planning as well. So this now is the actual heart of planning your meals. The biggest tip that I can recommend as it comes to meal planning is to really focus on the idea of using what you already have. The biggest reason that I see people wanting to start meal planning and meal prepping is not, well, it does occasionally come down to wanting to be healthier and wanting to make sure that there are always healthy meals available. I also so often see it that people are just looking for a way that they can get a better grasp on their grocery bill so that they can save money and waste so much less. So when I sit down and I start putting or pulling recipes to try and figure out what it is that we are going to enjoy for the coming week, my number one tip is to start by shopping in your own kitchen first. So breaking it down what this exactly specifically means. So every now and then when I go grocery shopping, there will be a special of buy one chicken, pay this price, buy two, save whatever because you bought multiples. So occasionally I will buy 2 packs of chicken, even if I don't need 2 packs of chicken. What this means is that I now have chicken in my freezer that I can incorporate into the following meal prep week. Another really big shoppable area is the pantry. So if you start to notice that you've accumulated maybe some half bags of pasta, maybe it's time to incorporate a pasta dish into your meal plan. This is a huge money saver. There are so many times that I am able to create a recipe or find a recipe that only puts 2 or 3 items on my shopping list. There are often times where all I need to do is buy the fresh produce required in a recipe because I already have everything else needed to make it. This does 2 things. Not only does it get things out of your pantry so that you're using it when it is its freshest, or helps you use up things before they hit expiration dates, but it also means that your grocery orders are going to be much smaller because you're not having to buy every single ingredient in a dish. So if I'm going through my current pantry, some of the things that I'm going to look for, which typically fall over here, is we just made a lasagna this past week, so I've got a couple noodles left, so in a couple weeks I'll probably make another lasagna. But I've got some rice noodles that we need to use up. I've got a small box of couscous we'll want to use up. I have lentils on hand. I've got some rigatoni noodles. So those are some of the things that I will look at in my pantry to inspire the recipes coming up for the week. I even have a little bit of rice. It's maybe not quite enough to make a meal, but if I buy more wild rice, I can use the old stuff up. So now that we have shopped our pantry to figure out which ingredients we want to use up, we can now then either pull a favorite recipe out of our minds, something that we make all the time, or we can go online and find a recipe that uses up an ingredient that we have. I am by no means a master chef, so I love finding new recipes that will allow me to try something new, have instructions to follow. So for the most part, I like to scour Pinterest for things that look simple, easy to make, and then maybe I or Jason will put a small twist on it to maybe incorporate something that we love or need to use. As I mentioned before, when you're choosing a recipe, it definitely helps to find recipes designed to feed a large crowd, especially if you want to make things that are going to last you from Monday to Friday. You just want to make sure that the recipes that you're choosing, if they are a little bit smaller, maybe only designed to have 4 servings, that you're doubling them where need be. Meal prepping, meal planning, it is a science. It's important to realize that there's going to be a learning curve. And I remember in the beginning, I would cook a meal and either of 2 things. Either I had so much left over by the end of the week that I had to toss it, or I would come to Thursday night and we were eating the last of the food and I didn't know what I was gonna do on Friday. So give yourself some grace. This will happen. It will get easier. And as you collect an assortment of recipes that you love and that worked out great for you, then you can continue to use them and modify them where you need to. The other last thing when it comes to meal planning is to choose recipes that don't take any more than 30, maybe 40 minutes. I like to incorporate typically a really quick meal, so something like chicken breasts in a salad or shrimp in a salad. A one-pot casserole is really nice because it's also a lot less dishes. Maybe it's something that's served cold. Something like sandwiches or wraps are a nice addition. And if you do want to do something a little fancier, then having those really simple meals alongside it really make meal prepping not so overwhelming because you're not spending hours and hours in the kitchen. So choosing recipes that are really simple with simple ingredients is going to make your life so much easier. So there are a few different ways that you can meal prep, and this is something that for us really evolved, especially once the pandemic hit. When we realized that we were home a whole lot more, it didn't make necessarily sense for us to cook meals, organize them into individual containers, because we didn't have to take the food anywhere. We were able to then cook more often and keep things in their cooking vessel if we so choose. So the first way that you can meal prep, especially if you're still working out of the house, you need something that you can pack to go, is to cook the meals and then separate them into individual containers stored in the fridge so that you can take it with you. This strategy works really great by cooking everything in one day and then packaging it into the fridge. The other way of meal prepping, which is the strategy that we have moved a little bit more to in the last little while, don't get me wrong, there are still some meals that we cook it all and package it into individual containers, but sometimes what we'll do is we will just put the ingredients together or pre-cut the vegetables, pre-portion out what we need so that we can cook it day of. Essentially, the point is to do most of the prep work in advance so that come cooking time, it takes a fraction of the time. You can also simplify this strategy by cooking what needs to be cooked ahead of time. So let's say we're doing something like tacos. We may pre-cook the taco meat, pre-season it, put it into its container so that when it comes time to assemble a taco bowl, we just simply need to chop up the vegetables, reheat the meat, should we want it reheated, and then throw it all together for a quick and easy meal. So regardless of which method is going to be easier, I'd say they're both the same. But at the end of the day, it's figuring out which strategy is going to work best for you and your family and what kind of time you guys have available for cooking meals. For some people, meal planning is not so much about saving time, but making sure that they are sticking to a plan, only spending what they need, and then they can enjoy cooking the meals that they love with the ingredients that they purchased for that week going forward. So whatever strategy works for you, just know that there is no one single way to meal plan and prep. You just got to figure out what works best for your family and know that that may take a little bit of time to tweak for you as you get onto this journey. So let's talk about grocery shopping. You've now figured out how many meals you need for the week, which recipes are going to be perfect for your family, and it is time to go grocery shopping. This is my tip when it comes to grocery shopping. If you love going to the grocery store and browsing around, you may find that you actually end up spending and buying more than you need every single time. The biggest strategy that I have used to eliminate impulse purchasing at the grocery store is to simply not go into the grocery store. I started using this strategy the moment business started getting busy because I didn't feel or care to go to the grocery store and make a big event out of it. I have been using the Walmart Click and Collect for a very long time. Not quite since the service became available, but not soon after. What I really love about it is that I can put everything that I need onto a grocery list and place the order, and I don't have to walk down the aisles. I don't end up buying things that I don't need, and I swear the grocery bill is always smaller when I order online. And then the process is simple. I just simply let them know when I'm on my way through their app. I show up and someone throws all the groceries into my trunk. So I recommend you give it a go, whether it be a Walmart or any other grocery store that is close to you. It is something that a lot of grocery stores now offer as a service. Personally, the only reason that I've used Walmart is because their minimum is only $30, and they now have the service to do an order and pick it up as little as 4 hours later, which is something that I have had to use very, very often, and it's super convenient. Another really great tip when it comes to grocery shopping is I use an app called Trello, Trello. It's a free app. I originally learned about it as I was using it in business to organize my to-do list, but we use Trello because it is a shared planner organizer that I really love because I can put the groceries in, Jason can put groceries in, and regardless of where we are, if I happen to be stopping at a grocery store, I can pick up the items on the list and vice versa. The one thing that I don't typically click and collect is produce. We usually get that at H&W. So oftentimes I will put the produce into Trello, and then when Jason is out and about, he will stop and pick up everything on that list. Having a shared grocery list really makes it easy for everyone in the home to participate in the grocery shopping, not just in terms of like putting things back on the list when they run out, but also makes it easier to always have a list on hand if you happen to be in the grocery store. So now that you have shopped your own pantry first, chosen some meals that incorporate what you already have on hand so that we can eliminate waste, you figured out what kind of meal planning strategy you want to use that you're gonna try and see if it works for your family. Now you've also gone grocery shopping and you have all the goods in your house. You are then ready to prepare those meals, and I've got a few tips and tricks to add to go along with all of this. As I mentioned when selecting your recipes, choosing something like a one-pot meal or a sheet pan meal where you're not using a whole lot of dishes is going to make life a whole lot easier for you. Because often when you're making 2 meals, you have 2 times the dishes, which takes 2 times the amount of time to cook everything, and that can really suck. The simpler your recipes are, the less time it's going to take to make, and usually the less dishes are required to make it happen. Another thing, and look at it as a disclaimer, but I cook my meals typically on Sunday or Monday, depending on what my week looks like, and I will eat them until Friday. I am not a food expert. I don't know what the recommended keep in your fridge length of time is for food. So I'm going to encourage you to maybe not do what I do until you've researched it, and always do what's best for you. If you open up a meal prep and it doesn't smell right, it doesn't look right, or you have a bad feeling about it, throw it out. Do not eat spoiled food. It is not good for you. And at the end of the day, meal planning and meal prepping should not make you sick. If something is no longer good, don't eat it. When I started meal planning, I had a whole bunch of plastic containers. And if that's the way that you're going to be starting, that is very okay. Eventually, I moved on to glass containers. Not only are they a lot more durable, because I've literally had these forever, but I was able to get multiple sizes. These are from IKEA. I'll share the link. The nice thing about these is that the bowls and the lids are sold separately. So when I break a glass container or one of these gets messed up in the dishwasher, I can simply just replace a top or a bottom. But like I mentioned, if just when starting out you are buying the multi-packs of Rubbermaids, or that's what you already have in your kitchen, use it. Use it until you either decide you don't want to or they're no longer good. I eventually made the switch over to glass because I was having to reheat all my food in the microwave, and while I get that the microwave is not anybody's best friend, it was the cooking means that I had. So at the very least, by moving it out of plastic containers and into glass, I was at least doing myself a little bit of a service. Another tip as it comes to storage of your food. Let's talk about the produce. Produce is one of those things that it can sometimes be difficult to buy it on a Thursday, prep it on a Monday, or just simply keep fresh produce in your fridge to last you all week. An investment that is 100% worth it, in my personal opinion, is to get produce containers specifically designed to keep them fresher for longer. I have these containers. They're made by Rubbermaid. I just picked them up at Walmart. I have had these for many, many years, but no joke, I can keep strawberries or raspberries fresh in my fridge for up to 3 weeks. I'm not joking. I'm totally serious. These saved me so much produce. So whether it be that you are Pinteresting or Googling ways to keep specific produce fresher for longer, or you're buying specified containers designed to do that job for you, having your produce stay fresher longer is really important. On that same note, if choosing fresh produce as a snack is something that you're into, then eating the stuff that perishes quickly first and reserving things that will literally last forever, like bananas, apples, and oranges, for the rest of the week is also another very handy solution. Another really key thing when it comes to meal planning, and I just want to reiterate this again because I think it is what makes the difference between whether someone can stick to meal prepping and planning for the long term. In time, you are eventually going to find some really key recipes that just work better for you. And my recommendation is to really stick with them. Things like tacos, soup, stir fries, bowls, these are all really easy meals to make that can be modified and customized every time you make them so that it's not always the same in terms of flavor profile, but the technique, the strategy, the supplies needed to make them are always the same, making it so much easier for you. It can be so tempting while you're digging through all these really fun, really new recipes to choose things that are extremely fancy. But if you're finding that all your recipes are really fancy and it's taking you 6 hours to meal prep on a Sunday, it is not going to become something you look forward to. If your meal prep is taking too long, you are eventually going to get meal prep burnout, and you're just going to go back to the old meal preparing habits that you were comfortable with in the past. So don't be nervous to give it a try, experiment with new recipes, fail, because failing at something is okay. It's an opportunity to learn and grow and become better at it. But trust me, meal prepping is 100% worth it. So I'm really excited for you to be jumping on this meal planning and prepping journey. I hope that with the tips and tricks that I have shared today, that the journey is able to be a whole lot smoother for you. I hope that you save a lot of money. I hope that you save a lot of time, and I hope that you never pull out spoiled produce from your fridge again. I love having you guys here. I hope that you will join me on the next adventure by hitting the subscribe button down below giving this video a thumbs up because not only does it help me, but it makes me super happy. And I hope that you'll leave a comment because I want to know what massive changes you've noticed by switching over to a meal planning and meal prepping routine. So I'm excited to see you in the next one. See ya!